corner of Maple and Emerson, and there's a SWAT team outside the park building, and I heard a police officer telling somebody that it's kind of focused on that apartment building, which is sort of within the campus living area. And I was looking at about 24 Evanston police vehicles in front of me, and on the street corner is a person in the shade with a semi-automatic weapon. It's a police officer with a flak jacket, and around the corner is a larger SWAT team that I was getting close to, but then obviously they pushed everyone further away. So there's there's a ton of police presence, a lot of curious onlookers too, although right now there's about 4 people watching and all being kept at a very far distance. Then at the other corner, there's probably another dozen people all being kept at a safe distance. But you can see the SWAT team, and you can see the rifles are drawn or prepared, not drawn, but there are rifles at the ready.
As ominous as the pictures are, whenever we see this happen, the most important thing that needs to be reported right now is the most recent thing that we heard from Evanston Police, and that is that they have not found a shooter, they've not found a crime scene, and they've not found a victim, which, at least in my experience, would indicate that this is not necessarily as serious as the initial reports that in which people were told to shelter in place and to take cover and to lock down. It's not an all clear, certainly, and we're not at that point yet, but the Evanston Police Department would not release that kind of a statement if they had concerns that there was an active shooter hanging out of a window.
And we should also point out there's the Evanston Police, there's the Northwestern Police, and they work very well, hand in glove. I've certainly noticed that living in that area. But we have another student on the phone.
Yeah, I believe we have a student on the phone with us right now. This is Paige Leskin joining us. Paige, can you hear me? This is Judy and Ravi in the ABC7 studio.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. How you doing?
Thanks for joining us, Paige. First of all, tell us where you are, what kind of alerts have you been getting, and what are you seeing?
Sure. So I'm at a Starbucks right now off campus, and so I'm not technically on campus right now, but I am a couple blocks away from where the incident is currently happening. But we just started to get different kinds of emails and phone calls just through the emergency alert system through the Northwestern Police Department, and we've gotten a couple updates. First one was just there was an active shooter, stay in place. If you're on campus, don't leave your location. And so since then, there hasn't been a lot of information, but we're kind of just waiting to see the updates and as it comes in.
This is the response that you would expect, especially on this day and in this era, when there is a report of a person with a gun, and especially a report of shots fired on a university campus or any kind of a school. You would expect to see what we're seeing here. But you also have to listen to what the police are saying and what they're saying that they have found and that they haven't found. And again, the latest is that the Evanston Police say no victim seen or shooter that they have been able to encounter thus far.
But they do continue the search.
Absolutely.
And they are continuing to secure this area that is in the portion of the campus that starts to blend in with the town of Evanston. And so, at this hour, you've got schools all around there, elementary schools, junior high schools. I know there certainly is Warrington Elementary is just north of here, and they're all going to be those kids are all going to be getting out of school in the next half hour.
This is around dismissal time for a lot of schools, and you just have a lot of worried parents and a lot of nerves right now. So we also have another student on the phone with us. We're going to go to, this is Andrew Merica. Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, Andrew. Thank you for joining us. This is Judy and Ravi and Chuck in the ABC7 studio. So tell us where you are, and from your vantage point, can you see any of this going on?
Right now, I'm inside of Foster Walker Residence Hall. It is about 2 blocks east of the Englehart Hall, which is where Northwestern's been telling us that this incident's been happening. I've stayed inside of my room. As soon as I got the first call, I locked my door, I shut my window. I haven't really been able to see anything with my own 2 eyes. What I've been doing mostly is listening, because outside of my window I can hear what I only imagine to be multiple helicopters. I don't know if they're police or if they're media, but I've stayed inside of my dorm. So today is actually my 21st birthday, and my mom was driving to campus from Michigan we were going to go out tonight and celebrate. And when I got the call, I had to call her and tell her, hey, you can't come to campus right now because we're on a lockdown. And Northwestern told us if you're on campus, you need to find shelter immediately, and if you're not, you need to stay away from campus. So right now my mom is in, I believe, a coffee shop kind of south of Evanston, awaiting to see as soon as hopefully this lockdown gets lifted.
Well, you know what, Andrew, you're so right. I can't even imagine what your mom is going through, but we should pass along the information. I'm not sure if you were able to listen in as we were on air. Chuck Gowdy from our I-team has been reporting that the latest update that we have from Evanston Police and Northwestern is that this is not an all clear by any means, but so far they have searched one of the areas, one of the main areas, and they have now not found a crime scene or a victim as of right now. But I do wonder what is going through your mind. You're turning 21, given all of the news that's been happening recently. And of course, you know, today, the commemoration, the walkout from the different schools protesting gun violence. What is going through your mind right now as you're staying in place in your dorm?
Well, first of all, that's good news that you're telling me. Second of all, it's kind of a lot of emotions. It's, you know, this morning I had a class at 10 a.m. I went to the class. My professor emailed us and gave us the option because students from Northwestern also participated in that walkout. So there were several people in my class that did participate in the walkout that all met in Deering Meadow on campus. I believe University President Morty Shapiro also spoke at that. So we, on this campus just this morning, we've been having these conversations about gun violence and about how unfortunate it's been that it has occurred in institutions of education, especially these high schools and younger across the country. And so, you know, as these stories have come out, I've been getting nervous a little bit every time there has been events like this, like rallies where there are a lot of big people together. And I just in the back of my head this morning was wondering, you know, we have all these people protesting and doing these walkouts throughout the morning, and here's a bunch of people gathered in a large place. You know, it's one of those situations where you think, you know, this is kind of a formula for some of these things that have happened. And luckily, you know, in our event here on campus this morning, nothing happened, and everything seemed to be fine. And then all of a sudden, about a little less than an hour ago, you know, I got the first phone call, you know, and then I got the text message from Northwestern saying, well, you need to stay in place. And then shortly after, there was another phone call, and I'm thinking, okay, this will be great. They've just solved it. No, it's the same information. Stay in place, stay away from campus. And then the third phone call and text message, and all of these emails. I've seen pictures on Twitter of snipers set up on top of buildings across the street. It's very scary hearing all of this and knowing that I'm just 2 blocks away. So I'm very thankful that I'm in a building that has many layers of security and locked doors and locked windows. And I'm just hoping and praying that everyone that is closer to the situation or perhaps directly involved is safe at the moment as well.
I'm sure everybody feels the same way. Yeah. Andrew, thank you again for joining us. Stay there and stay safe.
Thank you, Andrew. We've got a Northwestern employee on the line. I just want to say, my wife has just texted me as well that the high school in Evanston Township High School, where they also had an enormous display today, a walkout, is on soft lockdown. And that's a good 4 miles west of campus.
Wow, okay.
So that's how widespread the reaction is that's happening here. The buses are delayed there as well. And as I said earlier, there are a lot of elementary and middle schools that are closer to the campus than that high school. So everything seems to be thrown up here a little bit, and everything is jarred in terms of schedules. Let's go to Candace Dessett, who is a Northwestern employee, and Candace, we are just being told actually that the lockdown at the high school has been lifted at this hour. But Candace, where can you tell us that you are on campus right now, and are you safe?
First of all, I am safe. Thanks for asking. I am on North Campus. I'm about just under a mile from where the incident's going on. So I received an email in real time telling us to seek shelter in place, and they've called several times and also sent us an email update, basically just identifying the location, but still with the same verbiage of staying safe and in place until further notice. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, just kind of staying where I am.
So, Candace, you have not gotten any other updates from campus police regarding what they have found, what they have seen, or what they have not seen so far?
No, in the actual verbiage I'm reading at the moment, the last email I received was about 12 minutes ago, and it's the only difference that it actually now is reporting in Engelhart Hall, but everything else is the same. It's just saying if we are on campus to remain a safe place until further notice, and if we are not on campus to stay away. So, and it just says additional information will be provided when available, but obviously I think I found out more information online from my coworkers than I have from the actual official report as where it was going on before I even got that message from them. It was already on.
We are waiting on some additional official information as well, but we have a live chopper picture up so we can take a look at the scene right now. Now, do you know anything? Do you have any more information that you can add for us about Engelhart Hall?
I actually do not. I know that it is a graduate residence hall, and that's about all I know. It's fairly close to a pretty popular local, like an AMC theater is directly down the street from there, and also I go to the doctor right down the street from there. So if this had been yesterday, I actually would have been probably within minutes of walking distance from there, as it's fairly close, right down Maple. So I really know it more in relation to Evanston proper than I do to the campus, honestly.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Candace, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe, stay where you are until obviously we all get the all clear. And Candace is an employee on campus there at Northwestern. Chuck Gowdy with our I-team has been sitting next to us and getting some additional information. And there you're looking at a live picture of the officers on the rooftop, clearly getting ready to make entrance there at some point, right, Chuck?
Yeah, but does not appear to be with a great sense of urgency, as if there's somebody on the other side of that wall. We're approaching 1 hour since the initial calls came in, that we should caution again, the initial word from the police and from Northwestern officials was a report of a person with a gun and a report of a gunman and a report of shots fired. So far, no agency has said there was a person with a gun, we know who it was, and we know where the person was, or that we know there were shots fired. In fact, the Evanston police, the last word from that department was the opposite of that they have not been able to identify a crime scene.
Right, and they do also say that they are continuing their search and they're securing the area. You've heard from folks on the ground, students, professors, employees, talking about how much of a police presence is in Evanston on campus and on the edge of campus, as we say, where this is happening at Maple and Emerson. And certainly, it's also not only is it a place where there are a lot of people on foot, it's a high traffic area as well. A lot of people will be accessing Lakeshore Drive basically to come back and forth to home and to the North Shore, and they'll come along Emerson. So this is going to be happening right where people live, so to speak. And as you can see from our picture here at Chopper 7 HD, what you're looking at, the lower part here, is obviously big campus buildings, but to the upper right, that is a regular neighborhood. That is a part of
residences.
Yeah, exactly. People's homes, and at this hour, 3:33 in the afternoon, there's a lot of people that would be on foot, that would be moving, back on their way home, getting out of school, what have you. And so this is affecting, as you can imagine, a lot of people on this day, 1 month to the day of what happened down in Parkland, Florida. And Evanston, like so many other communities, was marking today as a day to take a stand about gun control, and certainly over at the high school, there was a demonstration over there, and that was covered certainly by all the media, and there was a big demonstration on campus as well. So as we continue to take a look at from Chopper 7 HD, you can see the police presence there, all those cars lined up right there. That to me looks like Maple right there. And as Steve Lewis was telling us, again, he's just a couple of blocks away from there, but it definitely is a different part of the campus.
Another good sign is that, as you had mentioned, was schools dismissing about at this time, public schools in that area. Evanston Township High School no longer on lockdown. the all clear there at the high school lifted, at least. I mean, the police are not going to allow any of these places to empty out if there was some risk or danger to that immediate area.
It does feel like we're moving in that direction right now, that things are pretty calm since we came on the air about half an hour ago this afternoon. Initially, it was the urgent call coming in that there was allegedly someone with a gun on campus here at Northwestern, although I am continuing to see so many tweets coming in. And this is just on the minds of so many people. People tweeting, never thought I would have to ask my friend if she is okay because of an alleged shooter or an alleged shooting incident. Someone else saying, it saddens me so much to come home after I did a walkout at school today to hear that there was a possible shooting on Northwestern's campus. Again, we caution everybody right now, these are just reports initially coming in of possibly somebody with a gun on campus here at Northwestern, possibly inside that graduate hall, but we have no confirmed reports from Evanston Police or Northwestern Police, although they have sent out an alert to everybody to shelter in place. That is their protocol. That's what they have to do, and until we get the all clear, that will remain in place.
So unnerving, you know, as parents, you know, when you drop your kids off at school in the last month and certainly beforehand, this is certainly, I can tell you, in Evanston and in Skokie, people that I know and residents have been really thinking about these issues quite a bit. And we heard from our earlier, the graduate student who was in sheltering in place, about how he has had a sense of being unnerved by this whole issue for a long time, and now it comes to pass. You know, Evanston is a fairly liberal community, and I can say that from my own personal experience. But this has been on the minds of a lot of people. Certainly, when you drop off your kids over at the high school, and you cut through campus every day, people were talking about this a lot, and now this happens. Something happens right on campus and adds to that sense of unease.
We are, though, at this moment, if you do have a friend, a relative on the campus of Northwestern, they are getting instructions still to shelter in place. So we are seeing a lot of comments on social media, people hiding in a closet, people hiding in a conference room. So that is still in place right now. They are not allowed to move about on campus. And many of the streets around here are Chopper 7 is taking a live look for you. They remain closed, and you can tell squad cars are there on campus, police officers on scene, SWAT teams on scene as they continue to go through methodically, which they have to at this point. It's such a large campus and clearly a pretty large building there that we're looking at. So they have to methodically go through and make sure everything is clear.
All right, so we're looking at some new video just coming in right now from the ground, and that gives you a better perspective of the building that we've been looking at the top of quite a bit. This is the Maple and Emerson area, west side of campus, kind of where Evanston, the Northwestern University property blends in more with the town of Evanston, and you're getting a sense there of what's happening on the ground. The police presence is enormous, and you can see the homes right there. Interspersed with university buildings. That's a bookstore. I know that's a bookstore right there, that gray building, a private bookstore, not a school bookstore. And there are a lot of people who are directly affected by this. We can also mention that, again, that soft lockdown at the high school is over. That, of course, is confirmed. And as we say, if you are to be passing through this area, or if you have kids that are in the schools there, and you have to take a lot of precautions here. People are saying, Evanston police are saying they're still working on the search. They're still working to secure the area. So it is not an all clear whatsoever at this hour.
Yeah, it's in these situations, it's not all clear until the police say so. They haven't said so yet. At the corner of Emerson and Maple in this graduate student dorm, what you saw on the ground there is what the protocol is these days. When there is a call that comes in like this of an active shooter, gunshots heard in a public building, especially on a campus, the police don't take long to mobilize. And when they get there, the MO these days is to go in. It used to be you would take a position and you would wait and see. You try to figure out who was in there, where the person was, and what they wanted. That's not the way it happens anymore. The police go into the place. They try to identify whether or not there is a gunman, a shooter, and whether or not there are victims, and they try to put an end to it. And that's why they were able to say definitively a few minutes after this began that they could not find a crime scene or a shooter or a victim because they went in with manpower to look for that.
Right.
I imagine at this point, because so many of the students and faculty and staff are locked down, right? They're in their dorms and they're in their offices, and they're also searching for information at this time. Northwestern and Evanston police are only putting out information as they can. So we're hoping to bring you the latest that we are hearing on our end. Again, this lockdown remains in place, so everybody is sheltering in place. However, that being said, the latest update that we have, as Chuck mentioned earlier, so far no evidence of shots fired at Northwestern, no evidence of a crime scene. That doesn't mean that there is not one, but so far we're about 40 minutes into the time that we have been on air. We have not gotten any reports from Evanston Police or Northwestern Police to indicate that they have actually found a victim after these initial reports came in. So far that is perhaps some good news, even though we continue to monitor this situation. For all those of you who perhaps are following us right now, trying to get more information on what is going on your campus, if you're on Northwestern or if you're nearby, that is the latest word that we have.
And again, from the Evanston police at this hour, they are saying they have found no evidence, as Judy just said, of a victim or the scene or a gunman, but they are still continuing their search. They're securing the area. The police presence is enormous. And again, there are two police forces at work here, the Evanston City Police and the Northwestern Police. The university has its own police system, and it's a very robust system for sure. And there are a lot of undergraduates on campus, and there are a lot of people who are moving around at all hours of the day. So certainly that police presence, Chuck, as you mentioned, was swift, and it is it's large, as you can see right there. And again, just to give you a sense of the streets, that is Maple, running north-south here, and the cross street there that we saw earlier, that is University Place. So that suggests University Place is more towards the southern end of the campus, approaching downtown. But Maple is a big thoroughfare, as you can see right there. We heard from an earlier caller, Candace, who was saying that the theaters are there, and there's some restaurants there, and Alpana Singh has her new restaurant nearby, and it's very much a place where there are a lot of people walking a lot. And so all of those movements have to be pretty much curtailed at this hour because of what's going on.
Yeah, the Northwestern is put out another alert to people, telling them if they're in Engelhard Hall, which is where this is focused, they should remain behind locked doors, and community members should not go into that area, and also need to stay behind locked doors, because it's a big area, and even though there are a tremendous number of police officers there, it is going to take a while to go through all these buildings, especially the high-rises.
Yeah, we can see how immense that building is. Again, if you're just joining us, it is 3:42 in the afternoon. We got word a little bit before 3 o'clock that this was happening. Breaking news was happening on the campus of Northwestern Police. Right now I'm reading that the emergency alert, the notification, was actually sent to students and staff right around 2:40 p.m. So that's just about an hour ago, alerting them that people should stay in a safe place until further notice. You can imagine how nervous people might have been when they initially got that notice. So that was about an hour ago, that notice to stay in place and shelter in place on that entire campus of Northwestern, which is pretty massive. And so we have been following this news since that time. And right now you're looking at our ground camera. We have different crews on scene. Our chopper was also deployed, giving us our first look on campus as the SWAT teams and police officers zeroed in on that particular area. Again, we are talking about this graduate hall, Engelhard Hall, on campus.
And you can see it's a big place, and Northwestern being the big citizen that it is in Evanston, everything that has to do with Northwestern is something that a lot of people know about. So as far as this hall goes, there's a lot of foot traffic nearby. There's a lot of city traffic nearby as you look at this video actually from the street of Maple Avenue. And again, that would be looking southbound because the bigger buildings are indicative of downtown Evanston. But there is a lot of foot traffic, and there's a lot of there are a lot of people who have a lot of business around that area. So there are a lot of people who are going to have to shelter in place until we hear something else from the police. And as Chuck was saying, they will not give they will not get that all clear until the very last moment that they can. And so that's why they and the Evanston Police and the Northwestern Police are saying they're still working on securing the area.
But I just can't imagine how nervous people are if they're under this situation. We understand right now we have no reports from Evanston Police confirming that they actually found anything, but I'm reading another tweet here from a student who says his friend was touring Northwestern and sends him a text, says, "I'm on lockdown." And the reaction is, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" "Yes, but I'm in a bathroom and I don't know what to do." And it's those kind of reaction that is now flowing on social media that just, as a parent, we're all parents here on the set, that yeah, it's hard to grasp.
A couple of times in dropping my kids off at school, and as a parent, you've had that thought, and I've even tweeted out a big picture before of a bunch of kids going into the high school, which is about 4 miles to the west of this area, and just thought about the thoughts that I had in my own mind at that time, that those are not the kinds of thoughts that one ought to have when they're dropping their kid off at school. And this all comes, and I know I'm certainly not alone in thinking that way, and this all comes a month to the day of the shooting in Parkland, Florida, which was being commemorated on Northwestern's campus earlier today, and certainly was all around the Evanston community. So this has been on the minds of people in that community for some time, as it has been on the minds of so many people across the nation. And now there's some sort of an incident, and we have to get the full details on exactly what the police have found. We are only being told that they haven't found anything just yet, but they're still searching.
We're going to get to one of our crews. They were dispatched right away when we got word of this happening on Northwestern. Our Liz Nagy has made her way there. Let's check in with her right now. Liz.
Judy, right now we are at the intersection of Emerson and Oak. We're just about a block from the center of where this entire investigation is happening. We raced up here from downtown Chicago, and this was the first place we were able to get to. You can see what's going on behind me. From here, it doesn't look like much. We're about one long block away from the center of all of this at the intersection of Maple and Emerson Avenue. Well, right here, there's not a whole lot happening. So shortly, we're going to make our way over to the media staging area. But you can see police do have a very large perimeter blocked off here as they continue to investigate this situation inside Engelhart Hall. What we understand from these official reports that are out right now is just before 3 o'clock this afternoon, students and staff received an alert on their phone for an emergency notification telling them to shelter in place. Right now, Northwestern Police as well as Evanston Police are continuing to canvass that area, graduate dorm hall, for perhaps a gunman on campus. So we are going to continue to find out not only what is happening with this investigation, but the mood of students and this entire community right here. So we will continue to bring you the very latest as it comes to us. Ravi and Judy.
All right, Liz Nagy for us on the campus at Northwestern as you continue to take a look at live shots from Chopper 7 HD right above basically where Liz is right now. She's a block from where essentially all this is taking place. And we want to show you one tweet in particular right here. This is from Northwestern University, and they're saying persons in Engelhart Hall, which is that big building that you see there, the one on the right of the screen that we've been showing to you. Persons in Engelhart Hall at the corner of Emerson Street and Maple Avenue should remain behind locked doors. Northwestern community members not in that area no longer need to stay behind locked doors. Anyone not in the area of Engelhart Hall should stay away. So slight change there.
Right. Okay. So that is just coming in. That timestamp was at 3:40, which is just about 8 minutes ago. So the focus clearly right now is on Engelhart Hall, which to our understanding, it is a graduate hall. That's what you're looking at right there. We don't know how many rooms are in that building. So, our understanding is that clearly officials have to go through methodically one room at a time, and within those rooms, make sure everything is checked out before we get word of what is going on.
And you can see how big a building it is. The campus has been very busy. There's no spring break that's going on there, at least not right now. And I just drove through there actually this morning, and it's a very, very busy place. And certainly the part of the campus that blends into the city, which is right where this is, the western part of the campus, is always an incredibly busy and bustling and a fun place to be. So a very unfortunate situation that seems to transpire here at some level in Evanston. And as you take a look now from Chopper 7 HD, again, you can see how the campus is comes into the city right there. And some of the new office buildings that have gone up in Evanston, that's the downtown that you're looking at. But Englehart Hall is that building right there in the middle of your screen, shaped like a T. And that has to, if you're in that hall, again, according to Northwestern, if you're in that hall, you got to stay put and stay behind locked doors. But the Northwestern community members who are not in that area are being advised now that they no longer need to stay behind locked doors, and anyone else should just avoid the area completely.
Ravi, that certainly is the most important thing, what you said there at the end, because you have not only that the all clear was given for the immediate surrounding area, they're no longer on lockdown in the wider area, which means the police do not believe there is a gunman on the loose. And you also have that hall that's still on lockdown, but where police say they have not found a shooter and not found anybody wounded, and they don't have a crime scene. So I think you have to look at both of those things as very positive news a little more than an hour into this event.
All right, I'm just looking at Englehart Hall on campus. It's 10 floors in that building. 81 bedroom units, 63 two-bedroom units, so they're broken down by single-bedroom units. It is a graduate residence, and so that appears to be the focus of the activity right now, because that was the initial call that came in of a possible gunman or someone with a gun possibly firing a shot. That was always the focus, was Englehart Hall right there at the corner right there. But we so far have not heard from anybody from inside that building. And as you have been hearing, their directions right now, as everybody is on their phones, their direction via text and their mobile alerts is to stay sheltered, stay behind closed doors inside that building. They do have 24/7 on-call staff. I'm also reading here on their own website from Northwestern inside this residence hall. So until we get further directions from Evanston Police and Northwestern Police, this remains still the case, that their focus is searching that residence hall for graduate students on campus at Northwestern to make sure that everything is clear.
Judy, this came in, we believe, with a phone call saying that either someone had fired a gun or someone heard shots fired, and this was the response. And in this day and age, this would be the expected response, especially on this day.
And it's so instantaneous too, is it not, Chuck? The way
it has to be. That's one thing that police departments across the country have learned, and that is that you don't wait. You go in when you have an initial report like that, and then you sort it out.
And of course, we know that that's part of some of the controversy about what happened down in Parkland. And when an incident like that happens, all these big institutions have to recheck their procedures and their policies. And certainly I know that the Northwestern Police and the Evanston Police work together very closely and would have all kinds of procedures and standard operating procedures to be able to rely on in a situation like this. And so there is a fairly, it seems, organized response. And as you say, Chuck, they have not found anything yet that they have had to actively react to, it would appear. But the search carries on. And you can see just by the number of police cars that are there. We saw some ground video a little bit earlier, and our own Liz Nagy is getting her own video of all this.
Ravi, the very fine newspaper there, the Daily Northwestern, is reporting, quoting the Evanston Police Commander Ryan Glue as saying that this started with a phone call at 2:17, a phone call by an individual who said that he had shot his girlfriend in the area of Emerson and Maple, and that the Evanston Police Commander said there was no indication that an incident had happened in that location.
Okay.
So as I said a few minutes ago, it started with a phone call. It started with some kind of information, accusation that there was a gunshot or shots heard or fired. The police responded and found nothing. And as of this moment, they've still found nothing.
Okay, and but as of right now, the protocol is they have to go through every single room in that building. I'm doing some quick math here. So 10 floors in this Englehart Hall. We're talking more than 200 units. Some are single bedrooms, some are 2 or 3 bedrooms. So it's going to take them some time to clear every floor.
If you're watching this and you're in that hall, you have to stay in place. You have to have your doors locked, and the police will make their presence known unmistakably when it comes time to do that. But if you're not near that hall, if you're still on campus but you're not near that hall, You don't need to stay behind locked doors. That's according to the university. And if you have business at the university, you can probably consider it postponed at this point because you're being asked to stay away from the university at this hour. As we approach the hour of 4 o'clock, that first alert did come down, as we said, at 2:40. It was instantaneous, and as we said earlier, as I was mentioning earlier, my wife is a faculty member there at the journalism school, and she had just finished with her class. And she was just leaving campus, and she sent me that alert right away, and I walked into the newsroom, and of course the newsroom had already heard about this in that intervening 90 seconds or so, and she checked in with her students. They were all hiding. We talked to her a little bit later, and I believe actually some of that ground video is actually from her. So, you know, these things, we're all in this community together, and these things hit home. We know these streets very well. You're looking right here again. That main street is Maple, and it's running north-south. The cross street that just went out of your screen was University Place. That would be on the southern edge of the campus here, and surrounding the corner surrounding Engelhardt Hall, a graduate student dormitory on the campus of Northwestern University.
So once again, if you're just joining us, just before we approach our 4 o'clock news hour, we have been on the air now for almost an hour since this breaking news initially happened, just a little bit before 3 o'clock. Calls of a possible gunman on the campus of Northwestern, and we have been following this process ever since. One of our crews is now on the scene, racing from downtown Chicago down to or up to Evanston, and Liz Nagy is standing by, and we're going to go down there and find out what she knows at this point. Liz.
Judy, we've now made our way a little bit closer to campus, and I actually have Commander Ryan Glue with the Evanston Police Department here to tell me kind of what's going on. So, Commander, can you start at the very beginning from when you guys received this call? What started then?
Yes, before about 2:17 p.m. today, we received a call from an individual claiming to have shot his girlfriend. This would have taken place in an apartment at 915 Maple. It is a building associated with the university. It's a residential building. We responded to the area. We secured the location. We secured the building. We had officers go in, secure the area, and check the residence that was stated on the call. We did not find any evidence of a shooting, no victim, no gunman, no gun, where the caller stated that this had occurred. But we are still continuing to secure the area and still investigate this as a potential crime while investigating the possibility that it's a hoax. We can do both of those things simultaneously. There is going to be a large police presence in the area for quite some time, and we are working with departments here on scene and elsewhere to follow up this information and this call.
So as of now, this area is very secure. Do you have any information on if that shelter in place is still going on for people on campus and in surrounding dorms and apartment buildings?
I do not have that information. It'll be something that I look to get an update on before I speak to you again.
Can you give us an idea of how heightened the alert is right now because of everything that's going on today with all of these school walkouts in response to gun violence?
I think that anytime that you have a call with a gunman associated with the campus, obviously things are very heightened. But I want to reiterate right now that we haven't found any evidence of a gunman, and the original call was more domestic in nature between an individual and his girlfriend in a residence versus an active shooter going around the campus. So as right now, even though it's associated with Northwestern University and the campus, it wasn't an active shooter. The original claim it was something more potentially domestic related violence.
Commander, over the last 2 hours or so, we've been talking with students and faculty members who've been seeing members of SWAT teams kind of circling the campus, and that alarms people. What can you tell us about what you have found and how long this investigation might be going on for?
It's going to go on as long as it's going to take us to basically rule out all the possibilities that there is a victim and this occurred. And again, that requires us to work with some other agencies, neighboring agencies, and continue to work with Northwestern University Police Department. I don't have a time frame, but it's one of those things that's going to go step by step. It'll be fact-led, objective, and then when we feel that we've run down all our leads and it's secure, and we can make some determination if a crime occurred or if it did not.
So that initial call you received, you said, seemed to indicate a very specific action or very specific threat. There was never any widespread threat, you believe, to people on campus or in the community?
There was no widespread threat alleged, and we have not located anything or located any witnesses that would indicate there was a widespread threat to campus.
Are you still in communication with the person who had initially contacted police?
Last I heard, we were in communication very little, but we have not been in communication for some time. That may have changed recently, and again, it'll be one of the things I'm looking to learn.
And some of the surrounding schools, there are elementary schools nearby, high schools as well. Are any of them still on lockdown or under any sort of threat for parents who may be heading to school to pick up their children right now?
I have not had any reports of disruption of dismissals in the area schools. That's not to say it's not taking place. It's just not information that's been relayed to me.
I know you said that we can expect a large police presence for quite some time now. Any indication as to when you will wrap this up, or what will be the determining factor on when you're able to decide if this was a hoax or not?
It's hard for me to say at this time. There's just a lot of factors involved. And again, once we've investigated it thoroughly, we've kind of, and we're comfortable with the totality of the circumstances that we determine a crime has occurred or has not occurred. That's when we'll make the determination of when to kind of wind this police presence down.
What is your sense of it right now?
Right now, it's wide open. We're going to have to, like I said, take it one step at a time and continue to investigate.
Okay. Commander, anything else you can tell us? We're live on the air right now trying to relay this information to the public. Anything else that people need to know about this situation?
I would say avoid the area of Emerson and Maple. If you encounter any police officers, please listen to what they have to say in their direction. But as of right now, we have not located anything that indicates a threat to the public in general. But we are still working to secure the area, search the area, and we're treating it as a dynamic situation.
Was there anybody in that apartment that you went to where you initially received the call from?
My information that there was nobody in that apartment.
All right, Commander, we know you need to head back and get an update. Thank you very much for speaking with us. So that is the very latest from Commander Ryan Glue on the situation here in Evanston. The area is still secure. He said we can expect a very heavy police presence for quite some time now, but as of right now, they have not been able to identify any immediate threat. They said that initial call came in and was very specific and domestic in nature, never indicated any sort of widespread threat to the campus or the community. Ravi and Judy?
Liz, thank you very much. Very good reporting here. That is the very first time that we're hearing from the